Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J-Dog.
Michael, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. This is our recap show. I'm so excited to look back on all the scandalous things of the year.
Our recap show is fun. I put together a graphic, so if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff that hints of things that may come into the video, but I did want to start off with kind of like a recap of like what the word of the year was. Did you see what the word of the year was this year?
Well, it's probably one of those like slay type words that all the young people are using. I'm guessing it's something like that.
Yeah. So the word of the year was Riz. Now I have never personally used Riz before. It's short of like charisma. You know, you're gonna rizm or it's. I don't get it. Everything's changing, and I feel older and older every day when this is the year of the word. We're a year of the. I can't even talk right now.
It's the word of the year, and it's crazy that it actually is. You're right, but I think two people who might have charisma are two people who might be or Riz, as the kids say, who might have been podcasting for 14 years. So I feel like if anyone has Riz out there, it's probably us two who have been risen for 14 years.
We got Riz. So we're gonna recap like our biggest losers, winners, our BDE of the year, maybe scandals of the year. Where do you want to kick it off? Do we want to start off at like winners and losers and then kind of work our way down? How do you want to do it?
Let's start with where our podcast was founded way back in the 1990s. And it was on scandals. It was on the dirty side of sports. Yeah. We have it right back here on our YouTube page, which I have here. If you don't currently watch, if you only listen on Apple Podcasts, definitely check us out on YouTube. We have clips, we have full shows, all that stuff. I made a list of the 5 biggest scandals of the year, kind of chronological. I want to get your thoughts on each one as we move through the list. The first one came at the Super Bowl, and there's actually 2 scandals in one at the Super Bowl. I put them in one together. One was Rihanna came out at halftime, and she was pregnant, floating in the air. That was controversial. That was scandalous to some because we never knew beforehand.
Now, hold on. It was only scandalous to one of our friends in our thread. Everybody else thought it was a great halftime show. Our lawyer friend was not as enthused by her being pregnant. Now, it was also a surprise to people because she just gave birth and then was on stage and we're like, oh no, that's leftover from her last baby. It's like, no, surprise, she's pregnant.
And she was floating in the air. It's very impressive. It was a great show, but our lawyer friend, you're right, didn't like it. That was one of the first scandals. In the same night.
Can I say? I was going to say, I was also gambling on the first song that I was going to get right. And our mutual friend denied me of the greatest bet of all time on that night because I was scheming. I was in Israel at the time.
Is right.
I was in Israel, across the universe from here, and I was trying to make the bets. And he denied me, and I had inside info, and I thought I could win it. And it was a great halftime show. One of the best.
You were betting on something that was predetermined. That's called a soft bet, where the answer is known by humans on Earth, and we don't like those, Mike. In the same game, the Eagles' pass interference gave the Chiefs a Super Bowl. That was very scandalous, and that really kicked off a year of terrible NFL refs, I should say.
I don't remember the Super Bowl at all because I was half asleep during the game because I got back.
You flew back that day. But anyway, that's where the NFL ref problem started. Another scandal of the year, PGA Tour and Live. This came out of nowhere. You were the big Live guy. I was a big PGA Tour guy. And then we woke up one day and we found out the two are merging. It's like if Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in the current day, where they're not best friends, right? In this Jordan Larsa Pippen scandal, if they merge, it's like two enemies coming together as one. It was shocking. It was scandalous. We don't know if it's going to go through, but it's crazy that the PGA Tour said, man, we're not going to survive without Live, so we better merge with them.
I think Live knew what they were doing, and they put the pressure on PGA, and they ran out of money. And I think this is great for sports when things are evolving. And I know people didn't like it, but I'm a Live supporter, and I think it's going to be good for the game, even though I don't play the game. But one day,
what's good about John Rahm leaving America to go play other events for $550 million?
Well, it might show you that these players need to get a little more money because it seems like only the top of the top get paid instead of all the players getting a big bag of cash to go play. And
doesn't that happen in most sports? Like the Lakers backups don't make that much. They made more in the in-season tournament than the whole season.
But that's the first year. We can argue about it all day.
Speaking of making money at all levels is another scandal that happened in college football, the NIL scandal, where all these players can now move around and get paid. We're now seeing it in college football where there's a free agency period after each season where guys go on visits and they get different offers of different money, and then they decide where to go to quote unquote school when they're really going to play for the Ford dealer that gives them the best car, or whoever's going to pay them the most money for the local commercial. I saw this Archie Manning, the son of one of the Manning boys, was at Texas last year. He didn't play at all. They're going to the playoff. They have a great quarterback. Arch is the backup. He made over $3 million in NIL this year.
Whoa.
$3 million.
Listen, I think it's good for college. We wanted this for years, and it's definitely a scandal because now it's kind of like people are taking advantage of certain ways and aspects of that portal, and you're paying multi-million dollars for a QB to come to your school. I think they'll figure it out a few years. They got to get behind them and kind of like lock it down a little bit, but it's good for these kids to make some money because a lot of these guys that play college football aren't able to make it to the pros. So this is like, hey, I'm going to make a little bit of money and set up my life, and I'm going to go be a lawyer or whatever, chiropractor, whatever you're going to be after football. But I think it's a good thing and a bad thing because people are taking advantage of it.
That's correct. And it's weird how the money is flowing and you don't know why. Like, why is the Ohio State quarterback going to Syracuse? That school sucks. Well, he's probably getting millions of dollars to do it. NFL refs were a scandal. I told you about it in the Super Bowl. It's continued throughout the fall. They're ruining a lot of NFL games. They're deciding them. We found out this one Eagles ref is from right outside Philadelphia, and he's making calls for the Eagles. Very scandalous, the NFL ref problem, and it has to be fixed by Raj in the new year.
We'll see what happens. I think it's weird with the refs because no one ever talks about them because it's almost like don't say anything. Like almost the NFL says like, look, you guys are broadcasting, don't mention the refs. And people, look, you saw what's his name, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get fined the other day for just blasting the refs publicly.
They got fined a lot. Like
this is like a no. Yeah, this is a no zone. Like they don't want you to talk about it at all. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
And hopefully. You told us recently we're going to find out in like 20 years that there's all these refs that are getting money from people and like all 100%. These conspiracies, but we don't know about them now. They always come out later in time.
I was going to say, if you go to our YouTube and there's a clip of us talking about that, people are commenting like, oh, there's something happening, but we don't know about it. Like everybody's in on this conspiracy already.
Oh, I thought maybe the NFL bots would be trying to shut it down.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if we get a cease and desist.
See if we get some of those. My final scandal that is probably our favorite topic of all topics to discuss, and it's UFOs, because we've had so many UFO sightings in 2023, and yet the government won't give us anything. It's like they're starting to have hearings. They're starting to commission task forces. They're starting to have people come out who were previously part of the government and do interviews. And it's like the government knows so much and they're hiding so much from you. Like maybe proof of an alien body somewhere we may have found out this year, whether it was from the US government or from the Mexico people when they like brought it out on the table.
Yeah, the bodies.
Yeah, but like UFOs, very scandalous this year. We need to know more because all the problems on this earth, they don't matter, Mike, if there's problems up above.
Now, is the big scandal that still no one believes in aliens, or that the scandal was the US government is finally disclosing that there are aliens? It's just confusing.
They're not disclosing enough. That's my scandal. And you could take it any way for sure. The government is not telling us enough, and the little leaks are not helping us figure it out. We need the whole story.
But I also want to know why people don't believe in aliens after all these press hearings and people of high caliber are coming out saying like, look, these are real. These are really happening. No one cares.
Those people are actually NPCs. I think we've discovered that they're just going along their life. They might be robots. They might not be, but they're not real people.
What do you want to hit up next? Can I just give you my biggest loser of the year?
Yeah.
My biggest loser this year. And I think you're going to know it right away. But my biggest loser is Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, because I think if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, they could have won a Super Bowl, and this was his last shot to win a Super Bowl. I know he's coming back next year, but I still think Aaron Rodgers is the biggest loser, and I feel bad. He hurt himself, supposedly. We that also might be fake, but I do think this is his last shot to win a Super Bowl, and he is my biggest loser this year.
I love that one. I agree with you. I called Aaron Rodgers slightly different. I called it the heist, the biggest heist of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Because he stole our time. He stole our time in the whole lead up to the injury, whole offseason, the whole summer training camp. It's all about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. And then he gets hurt, and it's like, okay, he comes out 9/11, he carries the flag, and he got us all excited for nothing. And now he's gone. It's like, okay, now we'll focus on the season. Still, every week, he's on Pat McAfee. I'm coming back. My rehab's going great. I'm going to be back. And now the Jets are so irrelevant that it doesn't even matter that he's healthy. We don't even know. Like, he's still saying this week, like, maybe I would have played, maybe not. I'm not all the way there. They cut some player just so he can continue practicing, even though he's not going to play. The guy has stolen so much of our time, our energy, our bandwidth. And so you're right. He is the loser of the year for that. He should have just left in Green Bay and run off into his ayahuasca tent and go live in South America. And instead he's wasting
time. My biggest winner. This is not a person. This is a thing that you can purchase somewhere. My biggest winner of the year is Ozempic. Ozempic is the biggest winner of the year. It has helped so many people cut the weight.
Oprah, right? Did you see this?
You might see your boy on some Ozempic next year to get those shredded abs.
Wow.
Ozempic is the winner, and I think everybody should take it if they're a little bit overweight, because this is not medical advice, but it really does work. So
be careful with the advice you're handing out here on the Sports Hangover. Comes with
Ozempic is the winner. Everybody's on it.
You're right. I've now, I don't know if this is okay to say, hopefully it is, but there's certain people on TV who overnight have like gotten skinnier, and it's like, oh, you must be on Ozempic. It's like automatically what I think of now, instead of like, oh, you're killing it in the gym. Oh, you're turning it around. Because if that was the case, you'd have done that the previous 40 years. This is a real breakthrough that's changing the chemicals inside your body. We don't know for sure that it's like 100% foolproof. We don't know the long-term effects of Ozempic.
We actually do. The studies on it. This is a diabetic drug that's been around for like 30, 40 years. So it's
Mike, I'm trying to protect the Sports Hangover here for our recommendations.
Yeah,
we're just saying we don't know the full scope. We don't know what could happen. Check with your doctor, but try it out for sure. That was your winner of the year. My winner of the year, I told you this recently. It was Travis Kelce. The guy won a Super Bowl and dated Taylor Swift. What else? I mean, talk about going out on top. The guy should also walk away and go live the rest of his life with T Swift.
This is in my big dick energy of the year. I think Travis and Jason Kelce are my big dick energies of the year, because I think they took over the podcast world. And not only did they have a movie on Prime, but Jason Kelce's wife Jason Kelce's wife and family became semi-famous. Travis started dating Taylor Swift. I think the Kelces in general won the BDE of the year, because they kind of took over out of nowhere. The podcast took off, and they all became overnight celebrities, and he got to date Taylor Swift. That's Jeremy. Just imagine the podcast takes off next year for you and you start dating a celebrity. That's where we're at.
That's where we're at. And what I'm telling you is I'm not bringing my co-host along the ride with me for Sportsperson of the Year. And that's why I don't think Jason Kelce should be lumped into your little award here of the two Kelces. What did Jason do? He lost the Super Bowl. He's an offensive lineman. He co-hosts the podcast. He's not dating Taylor Swift. He's less interesting in every way, yet you just put him in the same category as Travis. So it's great they're brothers. It's great they played in the Super Bowl. I've had enough of Jason and their mom.
I just think it started with the Kelce Bowl last year with the Super Bowl, both of them playing. I think it just was like the ultimate, how crazy is it that they both played in the Super Bowl? They're on a podcast together, and they both relatively became famous. It was from that prime. You got to watch the documentary on the Kelces. It's pretty good.
See that. I didn't know they had a whole documentary. It's a little
much. On Prime.
Big dick energy for me. You might like this one, Mike. I'm giving it out to Michael Benatar for becoming a father in the new year. What a big deal. You were busy in 2023, clearly, and things are happening now. And 2024, you're becoming a father. So congratulations.
Not as good as Travis Kelce, but I'm having a baby in the new year. And I'm glad I got an award. That's great.
You did. Let's transition to one of your favorite companies, which I gave the Company of the Year award to. It's YouTube TV. And it's not just Sunday Ticket, which we saw coming. Something we didn't see coming that we love is Multiview. When there's multiple sports going on, and it's not like an add-on. I don't have to pay $500 like you did for Sunday Ticket. It's right there. If there's a big football and basketball game on, boom. If there's 2 Monday night games on, which it sounds like they're going to do more of, boom.
Which is weird.
If it's 2 different sports, if it's 4 different sports, college football Saturdays, you got 4 games on. Such a great job with it. Came out of nowhere. Shout out YouTube TV, Google, the whole company for everything they did this year.
I'm on board. That's the best company for me as well. YouTube, you nailed it all. They're doing a great job. I feel like weirdly we're going to agree on the worst company of the year, formerly known as Twitter. X might be the worst company. I know last year I predicted that it might be the best company, but I think it's just on a downward decline, and I feel bad, but ultimately that's where we're at these days. X is now the name of the thing, and who knows where it's going to be. But I think it took the biggest hit this year as the worst company for sure.
By the way, come back next week to our prediction show, and you'll hear about one of Mike's predictions for this year from last year's show about Twitter and X, and we'll just say that wasn't a great prediction.
It was
we'll just
not
leave
a
it there
great
for
prediction.
Now. But more on that next week. You're right. I had that on my list of bad companies. I had a few others on here too. Diamond/Bally Sports for falling apart with local rights, giving those back to so many teams. I'm saying MLB is one of the worst companies of the year because they had so many distribution points for their coverage this year. They were on local TV, they're on ESPN, they're on Fox, they have games on Apple, games on other streaming services. It was too much. The consolidation needs to happen. We've talked so much about that on the pod. Don't make it hard as a fan to find the games. Make it easier. But my real bad company of the year. Good. My real bad company of the year. We're out here in LA. It hits close to home. The Pac-12 is gone. It's one of the best conferences in college sports. USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, all these great teams used to be a part of it. And starting on January 1st, the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it's done. It's gone.
It's gone.
See, don't even follow college football. I don't even know about it. So I'm glad this is one of the worst companies for you. So Pac-12 is gone. So where did all the teams go? What do they do now?
A lot of teams are going to the Big Ten, the powerhouses I just named. Some of the lesser teams, the Arizona States, shout out to our friend Thomas and the Hangover Network. They will go to the Big 12. Nothing wrong with the Big 12. That's where UCF, our alma mater, has ended up. But the Pac-12, which this year, Mike, was so entertaining with Washington and Oregon. I know you weren't locked in, but these teams were great. Caleb Williams was there, Utah. The Pac-12 had their best year ever. It's one of the Power 5 conferences, only 5 powerful conferences in all of college sports. And that term is gone because next year and going forward, there's only 4 conferences. The 2 teams that got left holding the bag in the Pac-12, I think it's Washington State and Oregon State. Those are the 2. They don't have a conference anymore. Like they don't have one. Yeah.
But doesn't like Notre Dame not have a conference? Aren't they just like
but Notre Dame is respected as an independent and these schools are not respected. Stanford and Cal joined the ACC. Most of those teams are based in North Carolina. This is going off the rails, but the Pac-12 lost the year for me.
I'm going to go with my worst broadcast duo. I'm sure we've agreed on this. We've talked about it a lot, but I think Alan Kirk on Prime on Thursday night, I think it's the worst. Formerly a fan of Al. I think he really let go this year. A lot of criticisms on him this year. I think they're all almost accurate. And then Kirk, remember last year when I was saying he's never watched a day of NFL football in his life. And this year he got a little better. But I just don't think he's the man for the job. He's doing too much, first of all. Just like Pat McAfee, they're doing way too much. How are you doing college football, all these games, flying everywhere, and being able to understand what's going on in these games? I want it to be like, this is your gig, and you focus all week on this. And these 2 right here, Alan Kirk, not doing that. They are my worst broadcast duo of the year, unfortunately.
You nailed it for Al Michaels. And this is not what Prime had in mind when they spent all this money on Thursday Night Football to revolutionize the football viewing experience. And we heard recently the Comcast CEO said something fascinating about Thursday nights are now the busiest time for their entire internet, with Xfinity Internet, because Amazon now streams Thursday and you can't watch those games on TV. The busiest time for their internet used to be on Sunday nights, and now it went up to Thursday nights. So that's the impact that Amazon is having. They've had some games with over 10 million viewers. Al Michaels has been terrible. I don't get the hate on Kirk Herbstreit. I don't understand why you don't like him. I think he's prepared. I think he's smart. I think he's well-spoken. I think he knows what he's talking about. I don't ever watch his broadcast and think, man, he wasn't watching tape on Tuesday. He was focused on something else. I've never thought that watching Kirk.
It's all fluff. It's all fluff.
You mentioned one of my, you invoked a name of someone I have here, superlative transaction of the year, trade of the year, deal of the year is Pat McAfee to ESPN. He brought his empire from YouTube to ESPN. So often we see people leaving ESPN to go start their own thing. McAfee took the bag, $25 million a year, I think it is, from ESPN to bring his whole operation. And like you said, he's on everything. He's on his show. He's on game day. He's on during the big college football games. So have the field pass going on. He'll pop up on First Take. Maybe he's overexposed, but the man got paid and the man is more famous than ever. And for that, I'm giving him transaction of the year.
I had him under my Sportsperson of the year. So he is my Sportsperson of the year. I think he brought the younger generation and our generation into more sports. He's highlighting. I like that he highlights hockey a little bit. he's highlighting kickers and how hard kicking is on his college football shows where he's making.
So that's funny, right? Like maybe he's overexposed, but that's fun to like go out and he's got these guys out of the audience and they kick and they're terrible. And it's like, you're the one, by the way. Mike is the one who always said you could kick a 35-yard field goal. We haven't tried it, but I think you're learning on College Game Day. It's not that easy.
One day I'll do it. But yeah, he's my sports person of the year. I think he did a great job. And I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's doing it. And it's fun. It's just like a different type of broadcaster than everybody else. And I think everybody else is a little too clean cut for what the generation is watching these days.
The guy who used to get respect and comments and virality like Pat McAfee is my irrelevant sports TV person of the year. And it's Skip Bayless because, man, how far they have fallen. He used to be – he like invented sports debate on First Take and Cold Pizza with Stephen A. He went to Fox to do his own thing, to live here in L.A. It's not going well. The ratings have never been lower for Skip. He's getting dominated by Stephen A. and Pat McAfee during the day. And he's really, really relevant. He posts these videos when the Cowboys lose and he like throws away his jerseys. And that's the only funny thing he's doing right now. Skip Bayless, down bad.
I like that. I have NFL's biggest bust. I'm going with Bryce Young here. First overall pick. I think it's been really bad. It could be a combo of coaching, team, players, everything like that, owner. But I think he's my biggest bust. And we've seen this happen before with first round picks. But there's no doubt that he's the worst bust of this year because you could see it like just he's so small. Like, I don't know if you watched last week. He literally is like, looks like a kid playing with the linemen over there. It's almost scary for him to be out there.
That wasn't a secret when they drafted him.
Oh, I know.
Like the one thing that's very apparent, you're short and you're not getting taller.
I know. Yeah. So biggest bust of the year.
I believe it. The Panthers are really bad. It's actually worse when you look at, they could have had CJ Stroud and they instead chose Bryce Young over Stroud, and Stroud might be on his way to the playoffs. He's hurt right now. Hopefully the concussion fades. I have a new category this year. It was so bleak in the NFL. I have backup quarterback of the year because we saw so many of them. Yeah. And I just want to give a shout out to all these guys first who got honorable mention, who did not win the award.
I like this.
See if you like the award. So Joe Flacco has the Browns at 9-5 off his mom's couch recently. Shout out to him. Gardner Minshew, not actually a backup now that he's starting for the Colts, but he started the year as a backup to Richardson, if you remember. He's playing great. The Colts have 8 wins also. They're right there in the playoff mix. Again, not a true backup, but a backup in some people's minds. This is your boy, Baker Mayfield. Shout out for a great season, Baker, on the backup brigade. Drew Lock, you're wearing a Seahawks sweater. Yeah. What a game against the NFC champion Eagles last week.
I think it's great. And I think overall, I don't think Drew Lock is the guy that's going to be there, but I'm glad he's getting his time to shine. And I like that him and Geno have like a little bond together, that they were both like discarded from the NFL. And now they're kind of like shining a little bit.
What is Seattle. That, by the way, that are they putting a cape on or a jacket? Do you understand?
I think he's like putting like a backpack on. I think that's what it's like. Like he's going like this.
Like go to work.
They showed clips of him doing it in college. Like, oh yeah, like going. Yeah, I guess something like that. But I'm just happy that they're like bonding over. They both got booted from teams and now they're here. And I think Drew Lock was also supposed to be a starter in Denver. And now I'm not sure what's going on in Seattle. So we'll see. But
it was nice. You're right. It was nice how Geno was supporting him. A few more runner-up, honorable mentions of the backup year. Will Levis is throwing dimes for the Titans. I'm actually impressed with how he's come in for Ryan Tannehill, and he's much better than Tannehill.
Well, I think Tannehill's starting right now, so I think Will Levis is benched at this point. But yeah,
he's hurt. That's because he's hurt.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So,
and my last honorable mention is your boy Josh Dobbs. I know it's been bleak lately. I think he's down to third string in Minnesota. He won some games. He beat the Cowboys early in the year. Don't forget.
It's not been good for him. He's third string now. He had his time. I'm going to say it's kind of like Linsanity. Like Josh Dobbs had a little blip. What?
We're done with Josh Dobbs?
I think Josh Dobbs is over. I think he had his time to shine.
My real backup QB of the year, after all those honorable mentions, is a guy leading his team to the playoffs. It's Jake Browning. You didn't even know this guy's name a few weeks ago.
Did not know his name.
And he's out here throwing dimes. Jamar Chase is hurt. Doesn't matter. The Bengals are going to the playoffs, and they might win their playoff game.
Yeah, they're looking good. I don't know how all these backups are good all of a sudden. I don't know if it's just because of like what's happening. How are these
not all of them. Zach Wilson is not good.
Sure, but how do you go around drafting all these guys and then you're like, oh yeah, we got a guy sitting on our bench who's drafted last overall, and then his name's Brock Purdy, and now he's going to win the MVP. How does that happen? So it's a weird league, and we'll see how it all goes.
And to your point, right before, Bryce Young, like all these guys I just named are playing better than Bryce Young. So like, how bad of a talent evaluator do you have to be to
Pretty
bypass all these cheap backups and say we're going to roll with Bryce Young as number one?
Do you want to do our movies? Top 5 movies, top 5 shows? You got any of that?
I have shows. Movies actually died a death in 2023, so I didn't do a
movie list. My list is pretty
yours.
bleak here. I'll just run through my movies real quick, but my top 5 movies this year. Now I started a rating system on a Notion tab, and these are all rated as I view them. Yeah. These are no like particular order, but I did like all these movies. I really like The Flash, the Convent with Mark Wahlberg, I think, or somebody. Really good, like great movie play. Like I watched it on an airplane. It was great. Blackberry. Did you see Blackberry?
I didn't see Blackberry. Shout out to Airplane watching movies. It's the only time when I don't have like my phone attached to me where I can actually fully concentrate. There's also something with maybe it's the alcohol and like not having as much oxygen. I get emotional watching movies on planes. I tend to cry, 50% cry rate on movies on planes. And that's just like, I don't think it's just me. I think that's a real thing that people experience.
So yeah, a lot of, I actually don't even have 5 here. I only have 4 I listed. I have Super Mario Brothers. These are like my best movies I've watched all year. Now there's some recent movies I've watched, but I didn't feel like I could put them in there. Like what's that new movie on Netflix? The Last of the World or something like that. That was pretty good. But yeah, the movies this year is kind of hit or miss. A lot of good TV shows. Why don't you kick off TV?
You didn't name Barbenheimer at all. Are you not putting either of those? And you dressed up as one of those, and it wasn't Oppenheimer for Halloween.
Oppenheimer was good, but it was really, really, really long. And Barbie was good, but I'm not going to say it was a great movie. It was just like, it was fun. I think Aaron liked it a little more than I did, but yeah, it was good. Not my top list.
Mike, you're not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it. Yeah. I was led to believe there'd be more visuals, and it was really like a 3-hour movie with 2 hours and 58 minutes of close dialogue and
on Oppenheimer.
For Oppenheimer.
Yeah. It was, I saw it in IMAX, and it definitely didn't need to be IMAX only. And even the one scene where they let off the bomb, it was like not even that intense. So yeah, good movie. Watch it at home, but pause a lot during it.
Barbie I never saw, but it's streaming now on Max, so I'm gonna watch it during Christmas. I'll get started on the shows of the year. I do have a list for those because TV and streaming is certainly not dead like movies. The first one is Dave. Shout out to our old buddy. He had a new season this year. Shout out to Gator, who sent me a personal message years ago when I was bald. If you remember that, Mr. Clean, he called me, and now the hair is back, so that doesn't apply anymore. A shout out to awkward TV shows of the year. 2 of them that come to mind: The Rehearsal with Nathan Fiedler.
That was great.
And How To with John Wilson is one of my favorites. He goes around New York shooting random things. I don't think you're as into that show.
Yeah, not into that one. I had Dave on my list. Succession's on my list.
Succession for sure. Yeah.
Beef on Netflix was really good.
I saw Ali Wong in person this year, and that was just so much better than her show. I thought her stand-up was like 10 times better than the actual show Beef, and so I didn't put Beef.
Really? I thought Beef was a great show. Swarm on Prime Video. It's kind of like a mock. I don't know. I don't know how to really say it. It's kind of like based off Beyonce a little bit, but really weird and kind of like serial killer vibes, and Childish Gambino, whatever his name is. He's kind of like directing it. Really, Donald Glover. Great show. Very weird and just unique, and I like that. And then The Last of Us. I think that was a great show too. I just really enjoyed it, based off a video game. And then I have like 2 bonus just to throw out there. Shout out to Paramount Plus for putting out Fatal Attraction, the show, which was so fucking good. What? If you want to watch a thriller show, Fatal Attraction, amazing show on Paramount. If you
didn't even know that existed over there. Wow.
Great show. And then shout out to Netflix for getting Suits deep 4 seasons right now into Suits. There's 8 seasons plus a spinoff. But Suits really doing it. Never thought I'd like Suits. Love it. It's a great show.
I'm considering watching Suits because you and your wife love it so much. Yes, you mentioned The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. Episode 3 of The Last of Us was so good, so powerful. Episode of the year for sure of any show. That's
the one when they're at the house with the
at the
gay
house.
couple. Yeah.
The couple, nothing is around them. They're trying to figure it out. It's like, it was so well done.
It's great.
And like a beautiful, moving, emotional, all the things. I will say Last of Us also had a few episodes where like nothing happened. And it's like, you can't be a top series of the year if you're that inconsistent. I'm sorry.
Well, it's a story about them just fucking driving around, killing zombies and trying to figure it all out. I really enjoyed it because I just like these shows that like try something a little different, and like that Pocket episode 3, that was just a great episode, like kind of out of nowhere, changed the pace a little bit. A lot of these shows these days, I turn them on, I'm like, what is this? Like, why am I watching this show? Like HBO hasn't been putting out good content. Everybody's kind of lacking on content.
Well, the strike really shut things down. One of my shows that you didn't mention, I don't think you love this one as much, but they did something different. Poker Face. Natasha Lyonne started every episode with the murder, and then you kind of figure out who did it. It's rare to start with the murder like that, but
didn't love it. I tried, couldn't do it. What was that other one on Peacock that you told me about where they're like looking for something in the jungle? I watched that one. That was okay.
The Resort. The Resort.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, not making my top 5.
There's more coming there. I got some more topics. Do you have some more as well?
I got beverage of the year, snack of the year, whatever you got. That's my last 2.
Good tease for those 2. Let me give you a few. This one's the evolution of the year. So I thought about the Eagles run pass option for evolution of the year.
Okay.
That's up in the running. I thought about the new internal brace surgery that both Aaron Rodgers and Brock Purdy had to speed up their recoveries. We don't know if Rodgers actually had the surgery, but Brock Purdy actually did. It's where they repair the tendon and put something around it so they can go harder in their rehab and get back quicker. And Purdy has done that. Rodgers, I guess we'll find out next year if that worked. But the real evolution of the year was the MLB pitch clock. And you don't want to hear it, but MLB was so much better to watch this year. Mike, we did shave off over 32 minutes of game action per average of every game. That's big on Tuesday, Wednesday nights when you don't want to watch the whole game. So to shave off 30 minutes, MLB did get something right with the pitch clock.
And how is that going to affect it long term? Like, are they still trying to shave a little more off the game? Like, how are people liking it? It seems like people were a little upset at first when they were at the game. They're like, this is too short. What are you saying? Like when you go to the game, or you're like, damn, this game's way too short for me now. It's on 4.5 hours.
You're right about that. It's actually better on TV because you're at home and things are moving quicker and you can get things done and there's more action in it. When you're at the game, like you can't be late. So many people go to Dodger Stadium, they show up in the 3rd inning. You do that this year, you're missing out on your first beer, your first hot dog, your first Dodger dog, because the game's going to end a half hour sooner than you expected. So don't do that if you go in person. In the same group, I have duds of the year, a few duds.
Yeah, give me some duds.
I got 2 of them. They're both co-winners for me. The first one is the in-season NBA tournament. Really didn't register. We recapped it on the show. It's like a big song and dance. They gave out a bunch of money, but what did you really get out of it?
Not much. Not a top sporting event that I tuned into, because it's like a weird time to tune in. Also, it's like, what are we doing in November? Why is this actively like a thing that we need to watch? We're not ready yet. We start. When do we start basketball now? In like February?
MLK Day. We pushed it.
MLK,
we pushed it from Christmas Day to MLK Day. Is a new start of basketball season. They tried to get us to watch with the in-season tournament. Didn't work for me and Mike. That's for sure.
Didn't work.
And then the other one in that category, I know you'll agree with me on this. Speaking of things we don't know why they're happening at certain hours of the day, the F1 debacle in Las Vegas has to be one of the worst sports events of the year. We didn't watch any of it because it was at a terrible time. They shut down traffic in Vegas. It was very hard. Apparently, all the people who normally go to Vegas were like not in Vegas that weekend, staying away. And so some of the casinos weren't very busy. They seem to have lost a lot of money on it. The first night practice, like the manhole cover blew and they're like, shut it down. 9 minutes of racing. It's over. No refunds. Very big debacle for that first Vegas race.
And we're going to recap when we're there in a month. We're going to check out the new streets and everything, see how it all looks.
Yeah, we will.
That'll be good. All right. I'm going to do my beverage of the year. This is a category which you might hear more on Sports or Damas. That's coming out later this week. But my beverage of the year is non-alcoholic beer. I'm really enjoying it. I won some poker games drinking non-alcoholic beer because everybody else is drinking real beer.
Makes sense, actually.
Non-alcoholic beer to me is a great in-between of like, I want a beer, but I don't want to get drunk and feel tired. And it tastes exactly the same. You can get a Heineken, a Corona. You can even get a Guinness, 0% alcohol. I'm loving them. And they're great. It's like a little more calories. You're not getting much out of it, but you're getting the taste if you want the taste. So that is my beverage of the year. Do you have a beverage of the year, Jeremy? I know you're a big snacker.
Big snacker.
You're a big snacker. You're
what does
that
even mean a big snacker?
I feel like guy.
I like candy. I don't snack all day. I'm not obese. I'm not on Ozempic. Don't start accusing me of things. I'm not a big snacker. I like candy. Beverage of the year for like the 4th year in a row, I would say High Noon. It's my favorite thing to drink. And it's simple. It's low calories and it's real vodka, which I appreciate. The sparkling waters, they're boring, but they've got me off soda completely. I don't drink soda at all. And that's a big win.
I got a snack of the year. I don't know if you have one, but I have a snack.
I don't.
I was raving about it in Utah. I'm like, you guys got to get this. It is called carnivore snacks. And it is not what you think. It's not beef jerky, but it is beef jerky, but it's like a slice of meat. Imagine a piece of steak, paper thin. That is what you're getting instead of like these clumpy pieces of meat. You're getting a nice thin piece. It's amazing. Little bit pricey, but it's one of the best snacks I've had in a while. You can get like chicken, brisket, all these different things, all in like a meat. It looks like a giant piece of meat. I love it. We're not sponsored by Carnivore Snacks at all, but I love it so much. I snack on it all the time, and it's just salt and meat. There's nothing else combined in it. There's no additives, nothing like that. Amazing snack. So that's my diet lately. Non-alcoholic beer and some carnivore snacks.
You're doing great. Who needs Ozempic when you're on those two things? Carnivore Meats, first of all, feel free to reach out to us to do a partnership. Please. We're happy to do reads for you, and clearly it's authentic because there's no partnership, and Mike is saying that right now. I would say the one thing on jerky is so often there's such high sodium and salt. There can't be too much. And so like sometimes that gives me like a little headache even. Yeah, when so I need carnivore meats to have little. When
you're over tomorrow, I'll show you. I'll give you some carnivore snacks. They're great.
That sounds good. I was just thinking as you said that, not an exciting snack, but the white cheddar Cheez-Its are a big hit for me.
White cheddar Cheez-Its, okay.
Just randomly.
Oh, okay. I also have Tech of the Year. We're currently using it right now, but I'm impressed, Jeremy. In the last 14 years, everything has come a very long way.
Wow, we have used a lot of technology that has actually disappeared since
some of it has disappeared. We used to use Skype to record these. I used to make you record video on your end and send it to me afterwards so I could get the video. Now we're using StreamYard, and this is literally not sponsored. I wish they would sponsor us, but this platform is amazing. We can stream to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, wherever we want. And it's just amazing. You can have people sitting in the waiting room waiting for you below. We can pop people up. We can change the way we look like live on air. I think technology's come a long way, and broadcasting and doing all this stuff has made it a lot easier for a lot of people to just dabble in it. And I'm giving it to StreamYard. I've been really impressed by it. We're recording right now at HD quality over streaming, which if we did this 10 years ago, Jeremy would have to send me like a file that was 10 gigs large, and it would take like 2 days to get to me. So I'm happy for StreamYard.
It's so real. You're giving out real like sponsor reads right now without us being sponsored. Again, we use StreamYard every week, every show. So if StreamYard wants to get a piece of the sports hangover, they're welcome
to us,
to come through. It really has gotten so much easier. You're right. We used to use Skype calls, which is crazy. Skype is no longer in use. Like you cannot download Skype.
It can't be real. No. Yeah.
It's like MySpace and these things that pop up and go away. What a time in tech. It's like tech is running in the stock market again. We're seeing great advancements from all the big players like Apple. NVIDIA is changing the game with their graphics cards and visuals. So tech is winning. I think if we're making predictions, which we're not, but next week we are on the Sportsperson special, I would just preview that tech will have a big 2024 in the stock market as well. Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Meta, Netflix, these big tech companies will continue to give the boys some money.
Well, Jeremy, good show. I will see you tomorrow for Christmas. You're coming over. Maybe watch a little football.
We talked about it last week too. How great. Christmas Day, a full slate. NFL is doing it right, taking over holidays. If you missed last week's show, I went on a whole thing about this. I recommended what the NBA should take over, what the NHL should take over. It's a podcast right below this one, so check it out. And I'm excited to watch Christmas football with you.
We did get some comments on TikTok that I replied to. Did you know NASCAR has like all those other holidays you mentioned, like Memorial Day and all that stuff? NASCAR. And I responded to the guy. I'm like, I don't watch any of these. How am I supposed to know these are on these days? So NASCAR is on most of those other holidays.
Like we are coastal elites in Los Angeles. Why are we talking about NASCAR?
I know. Don't talk NASCAR with us. All right, Jeremy. Good show. And Sportsperson is coming out later this week. So get ready. We have all our hot predictions and we're still hot, and all the swag, Sportsperson t-shirts on the website. Get those. I
love that. And listen, you have to hear some of the predictions we nailed at the end of 2022 for 2023. They were like so spot on, so accurate. And there might be one or two that we actually got terribly wrong that are entertaining a year later.
They're good. All right. Good show. See you.